So give us your sense of why this is so critically important. As we say, this is starting to bite now, not just in China, but back in the United States. But give us a sense of why this is so important for our national security.
Well, David, let me be clear. I disagree with much of the Trump administration's trade and tariff policy. I thought it was a big mistake to slap on so-called Section 232 sanctions, national security sanctions, tariffs on Canada and our allies. But when it comes to the Trump administration's approach to Huawei, specifically putting them on the entities list and saying that U.S. suppliers should not be strengthening Huawei, I support that decision because I do think this is a critical national security issue. In all my conversations with the intelligence community, they've made clear that if Huawei is allowed to dominate the 5G infrastructure of the future around the world, that will compromise our national security interests and those of our allies. And so I think this is an appropriate measure the administration is taking, and I hope they will stick with it. What I worry about is the administration trading off important national security issues for things like, more soybean sales to China. That does worry me because we need to be very clear. National security is about protecting our country and that of our allies, and we shouldn't be trading that off for something else.
So, Senator, let's stay on the national security issue that I know is so important to all of us, and you have been very outspoken about it. How far does it go? How far beyond Huawei does it go? Because we now have some suggestion, for example, we should look twice at buying buses, buying transportation vehicles, things like that from China, because in this day and age, they have microchips embedded in them. They have very electronics. And we had Rick Scott, the Republican senator from Florida, on yesterday. He said, actually, it's dangerous for U.S. companies to do business with China at all. This is what he said.
I don't think any American should buy one Chinese product. We should not do any business with China. We should not buy anything from China. We have to understand they are our arch enemy.
So, Senator, where is the line between Huawei, one company on the one hand, and all companies on the other? Where is that line drawn properly?
Yeah, look, I respectfully disagree with Senator Scott. There's a big difference between Huawei and a Chinese toy manufacturer. And so the line needs to be drawn where it's the assessment of the intelligence community with input from experts around the country and around the world that it would put the United States and our allies at risk if we were to essentially do business and help support particular Chinese technology, in this case 5G, which is, of course, one of the communication technologies of the future. And to the extent that China dominates the globe and is allowed to set the standards and write the rules for that, the risk is that because Huawei ultimately, like any company in China, can be commandeered by the government of China, what you're ultimately dealing with is the Chinese government. Now, I know Huawei likes to say it's an independent company and it's not currently a state-owned entity, but we all know the reality that at any moment the government of China can take over Huawei and essentially dictate the terms to Huawei, and they would likely do that in a way that undermines our national security interests. So again, I wouldn't. I'm certainly not saying don't do any trade with China. I'm talking about a very specific example here in the realm of 5G.